So let's dig right in. And before we get started, I'm just going to do some quick introductions. So I'm Cheryl Rosenberg. I use the she series pronouns. I'm assistant director and career advisor in the Career Center. And I'll be walking through this presentation on how to prepare for the virtual career fair.
Great. And I'm Sue Atkins. I'm the Associate Director of Employer Relations here at Tufts. And I work with all the employers that are really excited to meet all of you at this upcoming fair that will be happening next Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. on Handshake. So I'll be interjecting throughout and hopefully answering your questions on the chat. And we'll try to get to all those questions either throughout or at the end when we have more time. So we look forward to sharing all this information with all of you and hopefully you'll pass this along to friends that weren't able to come today.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and get started now. So we're going to start by talking about just what to expect, right? So what is a career fair? What's a virtual career fair? And then we're going to get into some of the more nitty-gritty as we go. So it's a week before the fair. What should we expect? So the fall career fair is next Friday, September 24th. It's virtual, as you all know. And the platform that it's going to be hosted on is Handshake, right? So hopefully everyone here is familiar with Handshake. It's probably how you registered for this session. You schedule your appointments in the Career Center there. You apply for jobs and internships on Handshake. So you're going to be in the Handshake platform for this virtual fair. That's where it's hosted. And the fair is an opportunity to engage directly with employers, right? So employers are going to be there. They're excited to meet you and to tell you about different internship and full-time job opportunities with them. And you're going to get to talk directly to them. It's a great opportunity, like I said, to learn about career and internship opportunities directly from the employers. And there really is a variety of industries represented at this one big career fair. So we have, I think we're up to 119 companies and organizations that are attending this virtual career fair with Tufts next Friday, and they represent a whole host of industries and sectors. So depending on what you're interested in, or maybe all of the many things that you're interested in, you'll get to talk with somebody through group and one-on-one sessions. So the way that these virtual career fairs work is that you have two different types of opportunities to engage and connect with employers. First, the group sessions. So you can think about this as an info session where an employer is presenting to a group of people at a time. And there is an opportunity to ask questions during that info session too. Some employers do one group session with a ton of people, and some do multiple group sessions throughout the day with, 10 to 20 people, so a little bit smaller session. You also have the opportunity to sign up for one-on-one sessions with employers. If you know you're really interested in applying to work at a certain place, or you have some really specific and individualized questions about something, you can sign up for one-on-one sessions with the employers. And they're 10 minutes, so they're quite short, and they're not interviews. They're sessions where you can just talk freely, ask questions, let them know who you are, and get a sense of what the opportunities they offer are and learn more about the companies. So you can sign up for group or one-on-one sessions and make your own schedule during the time frame of the career fair. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, I was just going to mention one thing, Cheryl, is that students often ask, do I have to stay the whole time? And I think you do not have to stay from 1 to 4. You can really set your schedule up that works around your classes and your other commitments on that day. So you can come and go based on the appointments that you've set up. We just ask that you keep those commitments if you have registered for a group session or one-on-one, that you do continue to attend them and keep those commitments with those employers.
That's a great point. So with these group and one-on-one sessions, if let's say there's just two companies that you're really interested in connecting with, you will sign up to either have a one-on-one session with them or attend a group session. And that's your schedule for the day. So maybe it's one at 2 o'clock and one at 2:30, and then you're done. You don't have to sort of stay virtually the whole time. And we'll get into a little bit more of this as we go on, because I know it can get a little bit confusing. And lastly, I just want to say that employers are really excited to meet you. Again, we have 119 employers who have signed up specifically to come talk to you, Tufts students, and they're really looking forward to meeting you. All right. So now that we know what to expect, let's talk about how to prepare yourself and what you need to do before the career fair, which is next Friday. So first and foremost, you want to have your resume ready to go, right? When you meet an employer, they are going to want to get a quick glance of who you are and what you've done. Of course, you're going to ultimately use your resume to apply for positions. So here are a couple ways that you can get your resume reviewed or get some support polishing your resume in the week ahead. So first and foremost is Career Center appointments, right? You can log into Handshake and schedule an appointment with a career advisor. You can schedule a general appointment to meet with anyone, and you can also schedule industry-specific appointments if you really want to talk to someone about, what do government resumes look like, or how should I best position my resume for consulting, and so on. Now, of course, some appointments might be booked and maybe they don't align with when you're free. So you can always drop into the Career Lab. So the Career Lab, as you know, some of you probably know already, is a space where you can drop in and you don't need an appointment in advance. And you can do a drop-in appointment at the Career Lab, and they're about 10 or 15 minutes. They're perfect for resume critique. So bring your resume to a Career Lab. I know Sue is putting the link to Career Lab information in the chat for you. There are lots of options for Career Labs. So every day, Monday through Friday, they happen in person in Dowling from 12 to 2 p.m. So you can come in person Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 to look at your resume. We also have some virtual Career Labs in the evenings on Tuesday and Thursday between 5 and 7 p.m. You can drop into the virtual Career Lab, which is a Zoom room, and have a quick resume critique. You can also do some work on your own to get your resume polished. Look at the career guide, which is on our website, also in the link in the chat box, and our website resources. We have a lot of little handouts you can download for either getting your resume started, writing strong bullet points, and even giving yourself your own resume critique with a little checklist. Okay, so you want to make sure your resume is nice and polished for next Friday. And lastly, on this topic, I want to mention next week, we're going to have what we call chat office hours every day, pretty much 9 to 5. So when you go to the website, the Career Center website, careers.tufts.edu, you'll see a little live chat box right on the website. And you can type in a question there and we'll be monitoring and getting back to you. You can ask us anything about the career fair, whether you can't find the career guide or you need help with your resume, or you just have a question about registration. That will be available, again, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, on our website, careers.tufts.edu, so you can ask a question anytime. The other thing that you want to make sure you do in order, or before you even register for the career fair, is update your Handshake profile. Now, if you remember, I said that Handshake is the platform through which the virtual career fair is hosted, right? So you're going to be in Handshake, so you want to make sure your Handshake profile is up to date. And there's a couple key components I want to talk about. So make sure your profile is 100% complete. When you're looking at your profile in Handshake, there's like a little bar and it tells you how complete your profile is. You want to get that bar all the way to 100%. There's a couple things like qualifiers on your profile that employers use to allow you to sign up for group sessions and one-on-one sessions with them. And in particular, they use GPA and work authorization. If you don't have those two things complete on your profile, you might accidentally get filtered out of being able to schedule a group session or one-on-one with an employer. So no matter what your GPA is or whether or whatever status your work authorization is, you just want to make sure that you complete it and enter those fields so that, again, you don't accidentally get excluded from the way that employers set up their qualifications to schedule time with them.
And Cheryl, I was going to add just majors too. Majors and minors and those areas are really helpful to employers. They really try to make sure they're meeting with the correct students that match up with their opportunities, both jobs, co-ops, and internships. So the better the profile, the better connectivity for you and to the employers that you want to spend time with. So spending a little bit extra time on that Handshake profile goes a long way.
Absolutely. And if your profile is indeed 100% complete, then you have in fact entered all the information that the employer is looking for, like your major, like what kinds of jobs and internships you're interested in, regardless of your major. So that's really important to include. If you're new to Handshake, whether you're a first year or junior or senior, if this is the first time you're logging into Handshake to use, we have a quick start guide that helps you log into Handshake. And that should be in the chat now too. And you can also find it on our website. One thing you're going to have to also do in Handshake before you register is you're going to set your Handshake profile to community or employer. I'm going to show you what that looks like, but essentially what this means is that your profile is not private anymore. Employers can see your profile. Now, you definitely want employers to be able to see your profile, and you have to have employers be able to see your profile in order to participate in this career fair, right? Because you're talking with employers, that's the whole point. So when you log into Handshake, you can go to the privacy settings, and under the privacy settings, you'll see these three options. We really recommend that you select community, but the employer setting also works just fine. You just want to make sure that they can see your profile. And lastly, you're going to attach that nice and polished resume to your profile so that employers can see it. That's also something you need to do to be able to participate in this fair. So polish the resume, update your profile on Handshake, and then attach your resume. Whew, okay, that's a lot of things to do even before you register, but that is the next step, registering. So how do you register? Or what does it look like? You're going to register in Handshake. Surprise, that's the platform we're using for this virtual fair. So I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. I'm going to go through a couple steps, and then we'll switch over to Handshake so you can see what it looks like. But you participate in this fair with 3 simple steps. 1 is registering, and then 2, you're going to sign up for group and one-on-one sessions. So you're going to create your schedule for that day. And lastly, you want to make sure that throughout next week, you check back for available sessions frequently. So employers are still finalizing their schedules as well. Other students are changing their schedules around. And so you want to make sure that if there's, something new that pops up next week that you want to attend, you're able to add it to your session. Okay. Now, before I log into Handshake, one more thing I want to share with you is that before the career fair, you're going to want to do some research and prep to talk to these different companies. And I'll show you how you can look at all the employers that are going to be at the fair, but you spend a little extra time to research the employers, who they are, as you select who you want to talk to, and plan some questions that you have for each company and organization so that when you talk to them, whether it's one-on-one or you attend a session, you have questions ready to go that you genuinely have and need answered in order to apply for the positions. So let me show you what registration and looking up employers looks like in Handshake. Okay, so this is what your Handshake looks like, right? Now to find the career fair, you're gonna hit events. Most likely it's gonna be the first thing here because it's happening next week, but you can also search by career fair and find it as well. So we're gonna click to open this Tufts Fall 2021 Virtual Career Fair. And this is where you're gonna register. So on the homepage for the career fair and Handshake, you'll see a ton of information, really everything you need, right? So first you'll see all the career fair details. This is a review of a lot of the information we're talking about right now, directions for how to participate, lots of links for tips and how to navigate, really everything you need to know. Let's register. So when you click register over here on the right-hand side, you'll be directed to the registration form, which you will fill out and then hit finish, okay? So those are the steps to register. Let me go back and show you how to look around a little bit more. Once you register, you will be able to schedule sessions. Even before I register, because I showed you how, but I didn't actually do it, you can click here to see available sessions, right? And again, once you're registered, you'll be able to actually sign up for these. But you can see all of the companies that are going to be there and all of the offerings they have in terms of sessions that you can sign up for to talk with them. So if you want to meet with Wayfair, it looks like you can sign up for one-on-one sessions to talk to them. Some companies you'll see have group sessions or question and answer sessions. This organization has lots of smaller group sessions to talk about their internships. And you can see there's like 10 pages of these. So you can see all the companies again and what they're, 10 pages. You can click through and see all of the different things you can sign up for, what times they are before you even do it to create your schedule. Once you sign up for those sessions, you'll be able to see your customized schedule here once you register and sign up for some sessions. Now let me show you how to look at employers that are going to be at the career fair. So on the fairs page here in Handshake, same place you go to register, you can see the section about halfway down through the page called Employers Attending, and click Show All 119 Employers, and you will see all 119 employers. What's really nice about this page is it gives you just a short summary of the company. So if it's something you haven't heard of before, read a little bit about it. And if it seems like something you're interested in at least learning more about, you can next Google the company or go to their site so that you can get a better understanding of who they are. What's nice about looking at the company's little profile here in Handshake is you can see what job titles they're recruiting for, right? So you can see that this company's hiring for associate consultants in Massachusetts. You can see who has internships available, what kind of different things they have, and so on. So this is a really helpful research page for you before you sign up for sessions and also before you attend the fair.
And I was going to add too, I think clicking that follow button is also really helpful, especially as you're finding companies that you're interested in. You will get updates regularly on any events, job postings, new opportunities that come up by following companies within Handshake. So I think that's a great use of your time, is to research them not only for the fair next week, but ongoing in terms of a company that you may have found interesting and want to go back to, and just helps kind of build again your own personalized Handshake for your future career goals.
Absolutely. So when you press follow on these companies, like Sue said, it'll continue to customize your Handshake. You'll get alerts when they're hiring positions. You'll get alerts when they post positions in Handshake. If you know there are organizations you want to work for or are really interested in, definitely follow along in Handshake. All right, let's go back to our preparing for the fair slides. We talked about researching employers, and I just showed you how to do that. Now, the last thing you want to do before you get to the career fair is take some time to practice your intro, right? So especially if you sign up for these one-on-one sessions with employers, you might be wondering, what do I say? What's expected of me? How do I start the conversation? And again, these one-on-one sessions are not interviews, right? They're just like one-on-one time with a recruiter to tell them your interest, like talk to them about your interest in their programs, ask them specific questions about their programs or their company. And so when you start these one-on-one conversations, it's really just an introduction, right? You can tell them your name, who you are, why you're there, and then slide right into a question that you have prepared for them. Okay, so I have an example here of what I would say if I was doing a one-on-one session with an organization at the career fair, right? So hitting all of these bullets here, I might say something like, let's say, once the screen opens, I might just start out by saying, hi, my name's Cheryl, pronounced Cheryl, and I use the she series pronouns. I'm really interested in education, and I'm here at the career fair today to explore and learn more about opportunities that might be related to education other than teaching. I'm really excited to talk to you because I read about your internship program and it seems like it would be a good opportunity to gain experience working with young children. Can you tell me a little bit more about the internship program? So something like this is a perfect way to start those one-on-one conversations. And if you take some time to plan this, maybe even write it down on a notebook, you will start your conversations in a way that is confident and sort of sets the tone for your next 10 minutes talking. Oh, I thought that was the last thing, but surprise, there's one more thing to do before you attend the actual career fair. So lots of prep, right? Because this is a virtual career fair, you want to make sure you test and update your technology, right? So make sure that you have a strong wireless connection. Make sure that your audio and visual are working. You might even do a little practice the day before just to make sure everything works. We do recommend Google Chrome as a browser to use. It's the best for Handshake. And you can also test your network maybe the night before to see how strong it is, or see if you need to find a different place in your house or on campus to get a better signal. And a good place to test your network is at networktest.twilio.com. It's a really good resource there. All right, so let's talk about during the fair, because now you know what to expect. You've done a bunch of prep. Here you are. It's Friday the 24th. So during the career fair, even though you just did this the night or the day before, double check your tech, okay? There's nothing worse than signing on, getting ready to talk to an employer that you're really excited to talk to, and then something crashes or something doesn't work. Sometimes those things are out of our control, but do everything you can to control the situation and just double check a few minutes before your first session. Log in early so that you can get your bearings and settle in, right? Give yourself an extra 10 minutes to just settle and get comfortable, make sure everything's working before you have to jump into a conversation. Make sure you choose a quiet location, whether it's your room, maybe it's a room in the library, but find a quiet place to have your conversations. This one's really important. I can't stress how important this is. Be on time for your sessions, right? Whether it's a group session or a one-on-one session, be on time. The employer's waiting for you, and those 10 minutes go by really fast. So even if you're 5 minutes late, that only leaves you with 5 minutes to talk to the employer and make a strong impression. And definitely don't ghost them, okay? If you have a change in your schedule, maybe something comes up, or maybe you're no longer interested in going to a group session that you signed up for, go in and like cancel it so that somebody else can take that session or talk to the employer during that time, right? When you don't show up for something that you've committed to, the employer, first of all, is going to remember that. They actually have a list of all of the students who have signed up to talk with them. And so they have a record of who didn't show. But you're also taking a time away and an opportunity away from another community member. So you don't want to do that. And there's also a feature where if you're running late, you can message the employer. So you can say a little bit more about that.
Yes, so this is new to Handshake for this coming fall, which is great. They just added this feature that the employer can message the student if they're running behind, since 10 minutes is a very fast amount of time to speak to students, and students can also message the employer. So I do think it's appropriate to send a note if you're running a minute or so behind and letting them know that you'll be there shortly. And I agree with what Cheryl said, that if you aren't interested anymore with having a particular appointment, please cancel that ahead of time. We do have a no-show policy, so we do track the students that miss these appointments, and we do follow up with you. And we say that we may remove Handshake access. It's something that we don't want to do. We only use those in really extreme cases, but we just want to make sure that you read and understand the no-show policy. When you registered, you'll see that through Handshake. So we want to make sure students know it's important not to miss these important times with employers during the fair.
And I also want to just talk about what to wear, because we get that question a lot. And the thing I want to say is just polish your look, right? So there's not really any right or wrong thing to wear. You don't want to look like you just rolled out of bed, because it's probably not going to make a great impression on the employer, right? Maybe polish yourself to the point of what you might wear to work, right? You're visible on camera, yes, so it's just what you can see, but wear something that makes you feel confident in how you're presenting yourself to the employer that you're going to be talking to. You want to feel like yourself, and you don't want to be distracted by what you're wearing or the way your hair is styled or anything, right? Like, so no distractions to you and no distractions to them. You want the focus to be on your experience, your skills, your qualifications, and your interests. All right, a couple more things for during the fair. Be courteous, right? Be polite. Remember, the employers showed up for you. They're excited. These are long days for everyone involved, but they're excited to talk to you. So, be polite and courteous to them, and show your enthusiasm and curiosity. They will pick up on how excited you are, or the good questions that you're asking them. Make sure you ask Taylor's questions. So that comes back to your preparation that you're going to do next week before Friday, of researching the companies you want to talk to and really thinking deeply about the specific questions you have that might prevent or excite you to apply for an opportunity. And take notes. Have a notebook out in front of you while you're at your computer. Take notes to write down important information, and ask for contact information, especially if there's some opportunity you're going to apply for, or maybe you have follow-up questions, the time went by too fast. Write down the contact information of whoever you're talking to so you can reach back out or keep in touch. If you need help during the career fair, we have a student Zoom room that's available and open throughout the whole fair from 12 to 4. And you'll find a link to it on that main page of the career fair with all of the details like I showed you. And you can pop in there during any time there, and there'll be career advisors there. And it can be anything from tech, maybe you're having a tech issue, or maybe you were running late and you're not sure like what to say, or maybe it's a specific scenario with an employer, or you're not sure how to communicate something, you can ask us any type of question there, and that will be available the whole time. All right, last but not least, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions. What to do after the fair is over? 3 things. Send a thank you. So if you had a conversation with someone, you're really excited about the opportunity, or just a really pleasant conversation that was helpful, you wrote down the contact information, you can send a thank you email right after the fair, thanking them for their time and their information. If there were follow-up steps that you had talked about, you can mention those in your thank you note. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn, especially if there's a company that you're excited about, or someone you want to keep in touch with. You can connect to, maybe you connect to the recruiter on LinkedIn. You can follow the company on LinkedIn, just like you can follow the company on Handshake. And then lastly, apply and notify. So if there was any opportunities that the follow-up step was for you to apply to the internship or job, you want to go ahead and do that by the talked about date or deadline, and then reach back out to the recruiter and notify them, let them know that you have applied, right? You can send a note. Thanks again. It was great to talk to you last week at the fair. I just wanted to notify you and let you know that I have officially applied, and I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation about my candidacy for this opportunity. That's how you follow up. All right, that was a ton of information about how to prepare for the virtual career fair. And so I imagine there are some questions, so we have plenty of time now. You can type your questions into the chat box, and Sue and I will start to answer them.
Cheryl, we've been getting a lot of questions about timing and when do I do my Handshake profile? Do I register first? Do I update my Handshake profile first? My take is that I think it's best to do the profile first, because that will not take you out of opportunities that align with these employers who've set up particular qualifiers for their appointments. So if you match up with some of their qualifiers like major or minor, then you're best going to be aligned with the opportunities within the career fair. So my take is to update that Handshake profile, make sure to attach your best and final resume, and then register for the fair. Just so that you make sure that you don't limit yourself in terms of the employers that make the most sense for you.
Yeah, I agree. It should not take you too long to update and complete your profile. Make sure you get all those qualifiers in there like Sue mentioned, and then go ahead and schedule or register and create your schedule. In terms of uploading your resume, you can always go back and upload a new version later. Let's say if you get some feedback at the career lab and then make some changes, you can always go back and upload a new copy, but making your profile public and having all those qualifiers in will allow you to schedule the sessions you want to.
And we will be sending a resume book to our employers who ask to have resumes sent. And if you are open to attaching your resume and making it available, we will be sending that over at the conclusion of the fair. So that's another great way that you'll be seen by a large number of employers if that's of interest to you.
And I'm seeing some questions about GPA, and especially if you're maybe a first-year student or a first-year graduate student and you don't have a GPA yet. Sue, do you have any recommendations before I chime in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you would leave that blank. I think you don't want to, you can't really create something that doesn't exist yet. So I think just leaving it blank. And I would say less and less employers are using GPA as a qualifier because they want to have the access to all students. And so we're seeing that a little bit less in terms of what employers are putting in terms of what you need in order to meet with them. So I would say leave it blank. And then once you have a GPA, you can update your Handshake profile at a later time.
I'm getting a question about different things you can talk about in the introduction. And one thing you can certainly talk about in your introduction is some relevant skills or experience that you have. So I might call those things that qualify you for the internship. What I would do with the introduction is try not to talk too long, right? You want it to sound like an introduction and not a 5-minute pitch of why they should hire you. So if you can work it in, if there's a way it's relevant, I think it's great to add to your introduction. Let me give you an example. Let's say you had an experience last summer that was really similar to the thing that you're talking about, and you can add that to your introduction. Like you can say something like, last summer I was a software engineering intern at Google, and I learned so many skills, and I actually confirmed that I really loved doing this kind of work. And this, your company or this internship program at your company seems like a great opportunity to keep doing that. Can you tell me a little bit more about it or how it might compare? Right. So see how I just worked that in there and made it part of the story? That's what I would recommend you do. And remember that it's going to be a conversation. It's not just going to be you give an introduction and then they talk for 8 minutes. It's going to go back and forth. So it might even come up in maybe your response or something later that you talk about in relation to your conversation.
I see a question on kind of a follow-up piece kind of after you met with an employer, what to do. And it's asking, after you've attended a one-on-one session and you connect with the person on LinkedIn and follow up with a thank you note, always a thank you note. Do you apply online? And I would say I would follow the instructions in what you learned in either a group session or a one-on-one session on how the application process works. And oftentimes you will find in Handshake the jobs or internships posted with really clear instructions on whether you need to apply to an outside website, apply through Handshake, send a resume and cover letter to a specific person. So I would, after you do all of those follow-up pieces, definitely apply through the process that the employer really outlines for you through the session and through their website that they outline. So I would just follow kind of those instructions. And if you're not sure, always make sure to get the email address of the person that you met, and you can follow up with them directly with questions about their process.
Great. So we can wrap this up here. If you have other questions you're thinking about, feel free to put them in the chat right now and we'll answer them. If you have really individual scenarios you want to talk about, you can also stick around and we can chat with you sort of after we turn the recording off, one-on-one. I'm not seeing any other questions come in, so we'll conclude.
There's a couple that just
go ahead.
Oh,
okay. I think they're probably just going to you, so go right ahead.
Yes. So it says for the individual sessions, you can sometimes choose to meet with, one person or another. How do you decide who to meet with if a company has several representatives coming?
Great.
And I guess that's a great question because I don't think you often know the background of a person. So I do recommend you can look folks up on LinkedIn to see what role they have, what department they work in. If they're an alum, oftentimes Tufts alumni will attend on behalf of their organization. Some might be hiring managers. So I do actually recommend doing a little bit of investigative research if it doesn't provide a title, a name, or any connection to Tufts for you to make the best decision about who to meet. But I will say in general, the representatives are typically trained to talk to all students across all interest areas and are able to help you find opportunities and discuss the culture of the company and answer questions that you have. So I will say you are going to get, great insight into a company from whoever you meet, but there may be some help and assistance by doing a little bit of research on the person on LinkedIn to make sure that they're the best alignment with what you're trying to find out about that organization. Do you add anything to that, Cheryl?
I think that's absolutely right. I would just say, don't get too hung up on it, right? So like Sue said, do a little bit of investigative research and then just sign up for your session. Like Sue said, everyone who will be there is going to be a great representative for you to talk with. And let's say you're talking to somebody and it turns out that there's another person who, you know, shares something in common with you or is a perfect person for you to talk to. They're going to refer you to them and probably give you contact information to follow up with them. So don't sweat it too much. Everyone attending is ready to talk to you. And yeah, just sign up for your session.
Yeah, there's a few other questions too. One student has, you know, a CS and a French and a CBS kind of triple major. How do they make sure to kind of highlight all those diverse interests in this kind of setting? And I would love to get your take on that, Cheryl, on someone that comes with so many different interesting areas, which is great.
Yeah. So, and you really have to think about what kinds of opportunities you want to explore, right? And then those different interest areas that you have, or even the interesting ways that those interest areas intersect, should naturally come up in your conversation when you're talking about yourself. Maybe you say your majors and the recruiter might say, well, that's a really interesting combination. What made you choose all of those, right? Or maybe there's one thing that you're really interested in at the intersection. You can talk about that with employers, right? They are also people who have a wide variety of interests themselves. So, you know, try not to be self-conscious or insecure about, you know, having lots of things you're interested in or not having, you know, too much focus, and let the employer really get to know all of the interests that you have that align with the reason that you're talking to them.
There's a question about GPA, and if your GPA isn't great, how do you talk about it at the career fair, or not talk about it, I guess, at the career fair, depending on, you know, the questions that might arise based on your one-on-one conversation with an employer. My take, I guess, is I think if it's something that's not asked, I guess I don't necessarily say bringing it up at the forefront. I kind of say to me, it's not a deal breaker to many employers. So I would say that is something that you don't necessarily have to talk about. I think if it is brought up in the conversation, then you should be prepared to kind of, you know, give the story as to why at that time. Maybe it was a class that you had challenges with and that you are kind of working on, you know, other areas that are your strengths in terms of your course selection. So I think with the pandemic and the world that we're in, I think there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of employers that aren't looking at that as closely based on the fact that we've all been going through a really difficult and challenging time with learning online and all of these things. So I don't necessarily think that's going to be a deal breaker for students.
Yeah. And I also want you to remember why it's not a deal breaker for employers. So think about what your GPA means, right? While it's important, it reflects how you perform in classes, whether that be tests or presentations, however that particular class evaluation is set up. It doesn't necessarily reflect how you might perform in certain job functions, right? For some classes and majors, it might be more so than others. So you might also think about the experiences that you've had outside the classroom where you've developed the skills that employers might be looking for. Maybe it's through some of your extracurricular volunteering or clubs. Maybe you had a tough semester that brought your GPA down, but you learned a lot at your internship last semester or the part-time job you do every summer. And so you can talk about those things too. The other things about you that make you a great employee and potential candidate, not just your GPA.
And the last question I have is about qualifications. You know, if an employer is saying, hey, I just want to meet with seniors only, you know, is that a hard and fast rule in terms of being able to connect with the employer? I will say that you won't see the slots that are open to you if you don't line up with qualifications, so they won't be available to sign up for. But I will say before, on the day of the fair, the qualifiers do disappear. If there are available one-on-one sessions and group sessions, then students will be able to apply across any major, any degree, any background. So the qualifiers are in place today and will be through Thursday of next week. And then on the morning of the fair, those kind of disappear and those slots will open up and will be available to everyone.
That's a really great tip. You know, one of the things we said when your steps to registration was after you register and create your schedule, check back frequently. Depending on what you're looking for, you might definitely check back Friday morning to see what has opened up with that change on Friday. Yeah, that's a really great tip. I do have one more question about, and this is a great one. Is it okay if we're not looking for work right now, but we're just looking to learn more about these organizations? Absolutely, 100%. The career fair is such a great way to explore and learn about organizations that you're interested in or haven't even heard of yet. Do all of the steps we talked about, like researching the organizations first and deciding who you might want to talk to, and attend group sessions or even sign up for one-on-ones to ask some specific questions that you have. But there are lots of ways to connect with employers, but this is a really easy one, right? It's set up for you. They're essentially coming to Tufts virtually. They're excited to talk to you. So this is a fabulous way to just engage with them, interact, and learn about their organization and get some good information.
Yeah, those are all the questions I see on my end, Cheryl.
Me too. Okay, so we'll end here, and just want to thank you all for attending and your participation. And we look forward to seeing you at the virtual career fair next week. Always feel free to pop into the Career Center during the Career Lab hours if you have questions, and definitely utilize the chat box on our website next week as questions arise as you're preparing. All right, bye everybody.
Thank you.